Well, good afternoon to you on this Thursday. Welcome into this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. All in all, definitely another warm day today, and tomorrow's forecast isn't going to look much different than what we've seen today. I think we will see fog to start off tomorrow morning, much like we've seen pretty much every morning this week. But there are some changes ahead, and that change arrives tomorrow night in the form of a cold front. Though it's not going to be all that cold, just a slight reduction in temperatures outside this afternoon, though. Pretty nice afternoon if you got any plans as you're getting off of work today. We're looking good. Temperatures in the upper 70s still pretty much area-wide, even still some low 80s for our inland communities. You can see here on the temperature map, and just like the last few days, temperatures really not much different than where we were yesterday at this time. There's our winds out of a southerly direction between 10 to occasionally still gusting upwards of near 20 miles per hour, especially a few spots doing that, not just the Lake Charles vicinity, even Fort Polk seeing those gusts that high. But once the sun sets, the wind should relax significantly. Dew points are about the same as we were yesterday as well. The large-scale weather map looks like this. There is a cold front off to our north and northwest, and yes, that's the front that will move through here tomorrow evening. Though, again, I cannot stress enough that the effect that this front's bringing is going to be fairly limited, especially here in southwest Louisiana. But it is something. At least it is a change in the weather pattern compared to what we've seen for the last week and a half or more, where it's been unchanged with that upper level high in control of our weather. And technically that high is still controlling our weather too, keeping us fairly dry. That's why I don't think this front brings any chance of rain. Here's a look at our Futurecast computer model for tonight. Starting off now, again, upper 70s to low 80s for temperatures. By around 8:30 or so, we will have dropped back into the lower 70s. So if you got evening plans, you're looking good. Temperatures are not going to drop a whole lot until well after sunset. Then overnight tonight, there are the temperatures falling through the 60s. And I do think some of us get to the upper 50s by first thing tomorrow morning. So heads up that pretty much a repeat of the last few mornings, and that includes the potential for fog to start off our Friday morning. Let me show you on our Futurecast computer model the visibility forecast. Those 0.5 numbers, that's a half mile of visibility. Now, don't get too caught up in some locations not being that low. I think all of us have an equal chance of seeing locally dense fog. So use caution out there on the roadways. Now, once the sun comes up tomorrow, just like today and yesterday and pretty much every day this week, temperatures will climb. By lunchtime, we're setting in the upper 70s, should reach the low 80s, maybe even a few mid 80s tomorrow ahead of this cold front. Speaking of, look at what happens tomorrow night. One, it's not impossible there could be an isolated shower near this front, but I really think the model is overdoing it. But look at that wind speed at Oakdale, gusting north to northeasterly to 30 plus miles per hour tomorrow night. That's behind the cold front. That will be ushering in that change in temperatures. And yes, you will be able to feel that change in temperatures once it arrives. Again, that comes Friday night. That's tomorrow night into Saturday. Behind the front, some pretty nice weather for both weekend days. Should be dry both Saturday and Sunday. But this upper level high that's been in our vicinity will gradually shift farther away to our west and southwest going into next week. That should allow at least the chance for a couple of isolated showers. I cannot stress enough that the large-scale models, like what you're seeing here on the screen, typically overdo the coverage of rain significantly, meaning just because it's showing green over almost the entire state of Louisiana does not mean it's going to rain everywhere, but it is better than what we've seen for the last week and a half, where there's been no rain anywhere within sight. So at least it is something going in the right direction. So I have included a slight chance of rain starting on Tuesday through much of next week. But as you'll see here on the 10-day forecast, I'm only putting that rain chance in around the 20% range, so I'm not thinking this is going to be significant. But hey, at least it is something different than the warm, dry weather pattern that you've heard me talking about going on and on and on for the last week to week and a half. But we will continue to talk about that dry weather pattern through this upcoming weekend. As you can see, the 10-day forecast, a little cooler on Saturday, highs in the upper 70s. I think Sunday morning is probably the coolest morning, where temperatures will get back into the low 50s. Inland areas could get down into the 40s on Sunday morning, but that's still way too warm to think about any sort of frost concerns. I say that because I know many of you, myself included, have planted various things, whether it's flowers or shrubs or obviously vegetables and the like. You should be fine. Those are going to be just fine, other than they won't like the cooler temperatures in the overnight hours. But we're not talking about frost that will cause damage. If you're headed out on the water tomorrow, still should be a pretty nice boating day. Tomorrow, southerly winds 5 to 10 knots. Saturday may not be as good behind this cold front, especially if it pushes fully offshore. We'll have northerly winds that could be in the 10 to 20 knot range on Saturday. That could give us seas of 2 to 3 feet at times. But tomorrow, we're looking good as far as the hunting and fishing is concerned. Best times look to be around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. A good time around 2:30 in the afternoon. That's near when the moon will be rising. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 7:08. Sunsets just a couple of minutes before 7:30. And again, a look at the 10-day forecast. A slight drop in temperatures, yes, going into the weekend, but other than the early morning hours or late night hours, you're not going to need a jacket. It's still going to warm up nicely during the day with mostly sunny conditions. So if you're trying to do anything outdoors this weekend, would really be nice because it will be less humid. Now, one thing I will mention before closing here, less humid conditions with breezy conditions Saturday means the fire danger will be higher. So please be cautious as it relates to anything if you are burning or even doing something that could cause fire to develop, especially if you're near wooded areas, as fires in those areas could certainly get out of control much, much easier. But other than that, the fog is the biggest concern that we will have tonight. We should get rid of that fog problem over the weekend with the lower humidity in place. Well, that will conclude things for this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon with another look at First Alert Extra. And otherwise, I'll be back on television coming up here in about 20 minutes over on KPLC for 7 News at 6. Hope you guys have a great evening, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.